Okay, so we're looking at the measurement review for pre-algebra, and here we're going to do just basically the word problems. So number 13 is really the first word problem on there, and it says, Larry ran 100 yards 6 times. In total, how far did he run in feet? So because we're doing measurement and we've been doing a lot of conversions, the first thing I notice here is that they're giving us 2 units. One unit is yards, and then the other unit is feet. So I might want to recall that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. That is my conversion rate. 3 is going to be the magic number. Okay, and from that, we need to make a conversion. It sounds like we can make fractions out of that. So 1 yard over something equals 3 feet over something. But actually, before I do the conversion, before I do my proportion, I'm going to take care of something else here. I'm going to take care of this 100 yards 6 times. So he runs 100 yards, but he doesn't just do it once, he does it 6 times total. So what was the total length that he ran? Well, we could do 100 yards times 6. So he really ran 600 yards. Okay. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to convert 600 yards to feet. Alright, so now I'm going to come back over here to my proportion, and I'm going to use 600 yards in that proportion. Just remember that it's 600 yards, so that has to line up with our 1 yard here. Yards and yards have to line up. So I'm going to have 600 yards on the bottom, and then I don't know how many feet. That's what we're going to figure out. Whoop. I can write nicely there. So that's my proportion now. Okay, and all I have to do, if you remember, is cross multiply and divide. So I'm going to do 600 times 3. And then divide by 1, which really you don't have to divide by 1. That won't change anything. So that gives us 1,800 feet. And that would be the total distance that Larry ran. Okay, 1,800. I apologize for my somewhat sloppy writing there, but 1,800. One other way you could do this if you wanted to, instead of taking care of this right here, you could start with just the 100 yards and say, let's just change that 100 yards to feet. So we'll go back, 1 yard equals 3 feet. So if we do 100 yards over we don't know how many feet, here we're going to get a different answer, but we haven't taken care yet of that 6 times. So here we would do 100 times 3, and then again divide by 1, but you don't have to do that. You get 300 feet. But that is just for one time. We would have to finish it up. We'd have to go 300 times 6 because he did it 6 times again. And we would wind up with the 1,800 feet. So either way you do it, you should get 1,800. Here we have number 14 on the review. It says, a circle is 1 foot long, a square is 10 inches long. Which is longer, 8 circles or 9 squares? By how much? So this one is a comparison. They're asking us to state which is longer. Whoops, let me get back to the pencil. Which is longer here? So we're comparing them. When we're comparing with these units, with these measurements, it's very difficult if they're different. If they're different units. So right now we have 1 foot and we have 10 inches. It would be so much easier to get the same unit when we're comparing. And you could switch your 1 foot to inches, you could switch your 10 inches to feet, but typically it's going to be nicer to use the smaller unit. And if you remember, we've talked a little bit about that. If I say 1 foot or 1 inch, which one is smaller? 1 inch is going to be the smaller unit. It takes 12 inches to make a foot. So it's going to be easier to change your 1 foot to 12 inches. You could change 10 inches to feet, but you're going to get a fraction or a decimal, and it's not necessarily going to be nice. Changing the 1 foot to inches will help ensure that we wind up with whole numbers. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Change the 1 foot to inches. Just so again, that we're not comparing apples and oranges, we're comparing apples to apples, we're comparing inches to inches, or we're comparing feet to feet. So changing that 1 foot to inches is really easy. We know that 1 foot, our conversion rate, 1 foot equals 12 inches. So I could go back up here and I could say a circle is 12 inches long, if I can squeeze that in there. So a circle is 12 inches long. Now I don't have to worry about, feet and inches. I can say a circle is 12 inches, a square is 10 inches. So which is longer, 8 circles or 9 squares? My 8 circles then, if I put those all together, that would be 8 circles times, I'd have 12 inches for each circle. So I could think of that as a rate, 12 inches for one circle. Some of you might just do 8 times 12, that's the shortcut. Here it's 8 times 12 divided by 1. But either way, 8 times 12 divided by 1, you get 96 inches. So that's for your circles. Okay, maybe I can draw a circle here. So circles, total length is 96 inches. What about the squares? We've got 9 squares. And each square is 10 inches long. So if I want to find the total length, I can do use a rate, 9 squares times the rate of 10 inches for one square. And again, shortcut, I could just do 9 times 10, or here I can do 9 times 10 divided by 1. But I get 90 inches for the squares. So there's my square. So now I go, okay, so which is longer? Well, I can see now I've got 96 inches here compared to 90 inches, so this is my winner. So final answer, let's see if I can carve out some space here for my final answer. The 8 circles are longer, so here's my answer. 8 circles are longer, and then don't forget, go back to the question, which is longer? So we're saying the 8 circles are longer, but there's a second question, by how much? Well, 96 inches compared to 90 inches, that would be by 6 inches. And in case you're wondering, if I had more difficult numbers, I can simply subtract these. That would be 96 minus 6. Whoops, let me write that a little more clearly. So the by how much would be the 96 minus 90 would give me 6 inches there. So that down here in the bottom right corner, there's my final answer. Your 8 circles are longer by a total of 6 inches. Or if you were doing feet, that would be exactly one half of a foot, 0.5 feet there. Here we go with number 15. An elephant weighs 4 tons. How many pounds is this? So this is just a nice straight up conversion. We got 4 tons, we're going to change this to pounds. That's all we're going to do, just convert this. So I would start again with my conversion factor, my conversion rate. 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. And then I'm going to create a proportion out of this. I'm going to make fractions. So they give me 4 tons, and remember that has to line up with tons. So 1 ton on the left, 4 tons on the left. And then we're figuring out feet, or excuse me, not feet, we're figuring out pounds. So X pounds. So there's my proportion. 1 ton over 4 tons equals 2,000 pounds over I don't know how many pounds. That's your setup. So now all I have to do is cross multiply and divide. 4 times 2,000 divide by 1. And again, your shortcut would just be 4 times 2,000, but this is how you know it's 4 times 2,000 instead of perhaps 2,000 divided by 4. But anyways, when you do that, we come up with 8,000 pounds. That is the weight of your elephant. Nice and easy on that one. Alright, here we are at number 16. Marie's first marathon took her 5 hours and 33 minutes to finish. Her second marathon took 4 hours 49 minutes. What is her average time for the marathon? So they're giving us, they're asking us for average. All right, if you remember with average, there's 2 things to do. First, you have to add up all your numbers, and then you are going to divide by how many numbers you have. So, and here, remember, it's tricky. This right here, 5 hours, 33 minutes, that is 1 time. That's 1 marathon. Even though you could say it's 2 numbers, it's a 5 and a 33, it goes together. It's mixed units. Same thing here, 4 hours, 49 minutes. That's 1 time for the second marathon. That's it. So when we divide here, in this problem, we're going to divide by 2 for this particular problem. Other problems we might divide by 3 or 4 or something else, but here, because we only have the 2 times the 2 marathons, we're going to divide by 2. So the first step, we got to add those. So we're going to do 5 hours, and I'll just do H for hours, 33 minutes, MIN for minutes, and then we're going to add the 4 hours and 49 minutes. So I just got to add that up. Here we might want to regroup, but actually, since it's average, I'm not going to. But anyways, 33 plus 49. I got to cheat and use my calculator here. Okay, and I get 82 minutes when I do that. Punch that into the calculator. And then 5 hours plus 4 hours gives me 9 hours. So here, like I'm saying, if you remember that 1 hour, our conversion rate, 1 hour is 60 minutes. Oh, I'm having trouble writing up here. 1 hour is 60 minutes. I could say, well, hey, look at that. You've got 60 minutes or more. You could cash in to get an hour. But if you remember that, we're not done. We still have this division step. So I'm actually not going to worry about regrouping, because I'm going to divide by 2, and we'll see what happens here. So I'm not gonna regroup. But now I'm going to move on to the division. So there's, remember, 2 numbers. We're dividing by 2, we said. So I'm going to take 9 hours, 82 minutes, and I'm going to divide that by 2. Alright, that's the second part of finding the average. Divide by how many numbers you had. We had 2 times. 5 hours, 33 minutes was one time. 4 hours, 49 minutes was the second time. So we're dividing by 2. So 2 goes into 9 4 times. That'd be 4 hours. And then 4 times 2 would give me 8 hours. And I subtract, I get 1 hour. Okay. Now I can bring down this 82 minutes. But this is where I want to now change to only minutes. I don't want to have mixed units here. So I'm going to say, well, this 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes, and it's really being added to the 82 minutes. So really the 1 hour 82 minutes would give me, when I add 60 plus 82, gives me 142 minutes. Okay? So that's the leftover. When I take 9 hours, 82 minutes, and I divide by 2, we get 4 hours, but I get a remainder of 142 minutes. Okay. So now I do 2 into 142. You can use the calculator if you need to, but I know that one's 71, and that would be 71 minutes. 71 times 2 would give me 142 exactly. 142 minutes, and I get no remainder. Okay. So this might be my answer, but remember back here I didn't regroup with the 82 minutes. Now I'm going to have to regroup with the 71 minutes. So really I'm not done. This is not my answer. But let me bring that down here. See if hopefully this makes sense. It's not getting too mixed up here. But my 4 hours, 71 minutes. I can cash in. I can cash in 60 minutes. Take away 60 minutes, but I will get 1 hour in exchange for that. So I'll be up to 5 hours, but I'll be down to 11 minutes. And 11 minutes is not enough for me to cash in. I need 60 minutes to get another hour. I'm only at 11, so this is my simplified answer, final answer right there. Average time, 5 hours, 11 minutes. Number 17 says, if you buy 8 packages of cheese, each weighing 10 ounces, how many pounds of cheese do you have? So again, with these measurements, a good thing that you might pick up on is that we're being given ounces right here, and we're being asked for pounds. So this is going to be a conversion at some point. So the relationship conversion rate between pounds and ounces, we have 1 pound, LB if you want, is equal to 16 ounces. OZ for ounces. So that's going to come in handy at some point. But what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with these 8 packages that each weigh 10 ounces. So I'm going to figure out in ounces what's my total weight. So if I've got 8 packages and each weighs 10 ounces, that's a rate. I'd have 10 ounces for 1 package. Again, shortcut some of you might do is just 8 times 10, but again, how do I know it's 8 times 10? For me, this rate, 10 ounces over 1 package, is how I know. So that's 8 times 10 divided by 1, which is going to give you 80 ounces. So wow, that's a lot of cheese. You got 80 ounces of cheese. Now go back to the question. How many pounds of cheese do you have? We've got a total of 80 ounces. So how many pounds do we have? Well, now all I have to do is come over here to my conversion rate. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. I'll make fractions out of that. And the 80 ounces needs to line up with the 16 ounces. So that has to go on the right. We're doing ounces on the right. We want to know how many pounds. So call it X, call it a question mark, leave it blank. But this over here is what I can do as a proportion. So I'm going to do 1 times 80 and then divide by 16, or some of you might just do the shortcut of 80 divided by 16, and I believe that gives us exactly 5 pounds. 5 pounds of cheese that you have bought. That's a lot of cheese. Remember that you could also have done this one. You could have started with 10 ounces. I'll just show you real quick here. Change 10 ounces to pounds. Would have looked like this, 16 ounces over 10. So this would just be for one package, if you just wanted to start with one package. And I don't think this one works out as nice, but you're going to then multiply by 10 ounces per package. Or excuse me, yeah, 8 packages times whatever you come up with in pounds. So let's finish this one up. So again, if I just do one package of cheese, it's 10 ounces. When I figure this out, I would do 1 times 10 divided by 16. I get 0.625 pounds. Or excuse me, yeah, 0.625 pounds. But that's for one package. So then I would do my 8 packages times 0.625 pounds. Oh, it's not writing for me all of a sudden. 0.625 pounds. The screen's not working in this section here. Over one package. I apologize for that. You can't see my 625. That's a little bit better. But you would come up with the same thing. You would get 5 pounds. Would be your final answer. So whether you get 80 ounces total first, when you do all 8 packages, or you start with one package and you say one package is 0.625, either way, at some point you're going to multiply by 8, and your final answer would be 5 pounds. Here we go with number 18. William has 2 gallons of cider. If he wants to have at least 1 gallon, 2 quarts for tomorrow, how much cider can he drink today? Okay, so this problem is involving mixed units here. Right here we've got mixed units. 1 gallon, 2 quarts. Remember, that is one quantity. It's one amount. 1 gallon and 2 quarts. We're just not mixing these. So right now he's got 2 gallons. He wants at least 1 gallon and 2 quarts tomorrow. So how much can he drink today? We are separating these. And if you remember the way I usually teach it, where the idea of separation is that we're going to subtract. I want to separate what he will have for tomorrow, the 1 gallon, 2 quarts, from what he can drink today. So that means I'm going to subtract. So we're going to do 2 gallons, take away 1 gallon and 2 quarts. And I suppose I could have abbreviated, but that's okay. We're subtracting. And here, if you notice how I lined up gallons, 2 gallons, and I right underneath that I put 1 gallon. Kind of like lining up your place value if you were subtracting with the decimal, kind of like doing a common denominator if you're adding or subtracting with fractions. I want to put the gallons with the gallons. So here, there's a trick to this one. What I have to remember is that right now on the top, I don't have any quarts written down right there. And with subtraction, that's going to be important here. When the top number is missing, it's really, I have to say, it's 0 quarts. We're starting with 2 gallons and 0 quarts, all right? And I need to keep that in mind here. The other thing I want to keep in mind is the conversion rate between gallons and quarts, and that is I have 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, okay? Because I might need to do some borrowing or regrouping here. Alright, so this is going to be important, and then also remembering that 2 gallons is the same as 2 gallons and 0 quarts, and we just usually don't say 0 quarts. Alright, so now I'm ready to start with my subtraction, and I'm going to start over here with the quarts, but I have 0 quarts take away 2 quarts. And you say, well, you can't do that. If you have 0, you can't take away 2. So this is where we're going to have to borrow. The 0 quarts is going to look over here. It's going to borrow from the 2 gallons. That'll become 1 gallon. We are borrowing 1 gallon. But remember that that is 4 quarts. So here I don't want to say 1 gallon. I want to say 4 quarts. Because that's the same as the 1 gallon I borrowed. And now I can do that subtraction. With my quarts, 4 quarts minus 2 quarts is going to give me 2 quarts. And then 1 gallon that I now have, take away the 1 gallon, gives me 0 gallons. Okay. And that would be the final answer. He can drink 0 gallons today, 0 gallons and 2 quarts today. Probably a nicer way to write that answer. I would accept it on the test if you said 0 gallons, 2 quarts. But an easier way to say that answer is just to say 2 quarts. That's what William can drink today. Number 19 says, Pedro is 5 feet 8 inches tall. Luz is 5 feet 2 inches tall. Donna is 4 feet 11 inches tall. What is the average height of these 3 people? So again, we are doing, like we were in a previous problem, we are doing average. So just to remind us, when we do average, the steps, first we're going to add all the numbers, and then second we are going to divide by how many numbers we added. Or last time it was how many marathons we ran. This time it's going to be how many people. And again, what you want to remember is that 5 feet 8 inches, even though that's 2 numbers, it is 1 height. It's 1 person we're talking about. Luz is our second person, 5 feet 2 inches. That is 1 measurement. That's 1 height. And Donna is 4 feet 11 inches. I'm just going to write inches over here. 4 feet 11 inches. That is a third person. Okay, so they even help us here. 3 people. So for this problem, we are going to divide by 3. But first, we need to start by adding them all up. So I'm going to do that addition right here. So I've got 5 feet 8 inches for Pedro. I've got 5 feet 2 inches for Luz, and I've got 4 feet 11 inches for Donna. And I'm just going to add those up. 8 plus 2 plus 10 gives me 21 inches, and 5 plus 5 plus 4 gives me 14 feet. Okay. And remember that normally if I'm just adding, I would want to look here and say, well, I have enough inches to cash in for another foot. But because I'm not done yet, because I've got this second step, I'm actually going to leave that. I'm not going to worry about doing that. I will regroup when I'm done. Okay. You could regroup now, but I think I'm just going to regroup once at the very end. Okay. So now I'm on to the second step of divide. And remember, it was 3 people. So I'm going to do my total here, the sum, result I got from adding 14 feet 21 inches, and I'm going to divide that by the 3 feet. So 3 will go into 14 feet. That'll go 4 times 4 feet. So 4 times 3 will give me 12 feet. And I subtract, I get a remainder of 2 feet. And remember, the 21 inches is also part of my remainder. 3 will not go into 2. Alright, so I want to break this down now. I want to have only inches. I don't want to have feet and inches that I currently have right now. I don't want to have mixed units at this point. So I might remember, okay, 1 foot equals 12 inches. I've got 2 feet though. That would mean 2 feet. Another foot would give you another 12 inches. That would put you up to 24 inches. So 2 feet and 21 inches would be the same thing as 24 inches and 21 inches. And remember, that's being added. 2 feet plus 21 inches, 24 inches plus 21 inches. So that gives me a total of 45 inches left over. And now I can divide 3 into 45. I can use the calculator if I need to, but it goes 15 times. 15 times 3 gives me 45. That would be inches. I subtract and I get no remainder. Okay. So again, this might be my answer, except I'm going to now regroup. I've got enough inches. I've got 15 inches. I can cash in to get another foot. So the 4 feet and 15 inches, I can cash in. Let me just switch colors here. I can cash in 12 inches, but I'll get 1 more foot in exchange. So that puts me up to a total of 5 feet, but I am down to 3 inches. 3 inches is not enough to get another foot. So this is my final simplified answer. On to number 20 now. It says a 3-ton, 200-pound load of wood was divided equally among 5 trucks. How much wood was on each truck? So this one is making it pretty easy for us because they're giving us this word divided right here. So oops, let's go to the pencil. So I'm just going to divide between 5 trucks. So I'm going to take the total weight, 3 tons, 200 pounds, and I'm going to divide that by 5. Now, one thing I might want to keep in mind is the conversion rate. We know that 1 ton is equal to 2,000 pounds. Remember, I will let you have that on the test. You don't have to memorize that. But this is going to be my key if I have to regroup or do any borrowing or anything like that. So going back to the division now, looks kind of strange at the start. You say, how many times does 5 go into 3? 5 does not go into 3. It is too big. So basically it's going to be less than a full ton for each truck. But if I carry this through, 5 times 0 is 0 tons. I guess I can say tons, 0 tons. I get 3 tons left over that the 5 won't go into. The 200 pounds is still there also. I can bring that down. And this is where I need to cash in my tons. I want only pounds now. I don't want tons and pounds. So I might just convert 3 tons to pounds, or I might reason that if 1 ton is 200 pounds, 2,000 pounds, then an extra ton is an extra 2,000 pounds. So that would put me up to 4,000. And I've got 3 of them, so 1 more ton would give me 2,000 extra pounds. So 2,000 plus the 4,000 puts you up to 6,000. So I can cash in right here, and I can say let's switch the 3 tons. That's really 600 pounds. We are really adding those 200 pounds. So that puts me up to 6,200 pounds. And we're still now dividing by 5. Okay, so you can reach out, grab that calculator if you need to. That's what I'm going to do. And when I do that, 6,200 divided by 5, the calculator tells me it's 1,240. And that would be your pounds. 1,240 times 5 would give you 6,200. Worked out perfectly. No remainder, nothing left over. So you could give this as your answer if you want, 0 tons and 1,240 pounds. But again, because it's 0 tons, you really don't need to mention that. So a good final answer would be just your 1,240 pounds. That's how much each truck, each of the 5 trucks will carry. And again, if you remember, you can check this. You can multiply, do 1,240 times 5, and then convert that to tons and pounds. Cash in, anytime you get 2,000 pounds, cash in to get a ton. But that's our final answer there. Number 21 says, last time Pete's baby was weighed, she was 16 pounds, 4 ounces. This time the baby weighs 18 pounds, 1 ounce. Okay, and just keep in mind as always, this is mixed units, that's 1 weight, and 18 pounds, 1 ounce, again, is mixed units, that's 1 weight. How much weight has the baby gained? This is a comparison. They're asking us, we could rephrase this question. We could say, how much more does the baby weigh now compared to last time? So how much more? That's typically going to tell me that I need to subtract. Okay. So I'm going to take the weight that we have this time, 18 pounds and 1 ounce, and I'm going to subtract the 16 pounds and 4 ounces. Okay, again, because this is like a comparison, how much more does she weigh? How much extra weight did the baby gain? Tells me that I'm going to subtract here. Okay. Remember to line up your ounces, ounces over ounces, and pounds over pounds, just to make sure that we're putting apples with apples, oranges with oranges, all that. This is subtraction, so when I start with 1 on the top, take away 4 on the bottom, I cannot do that. So this is where we have to borrow. And this is where we're going to want to remember the relationship between pounds and ounces. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. You've got that on your cheat sheet. So the 1 ounce says 18 ounces, I need some help. Excuse me, 18 pounds, I need some help. Can I borrow? We are borrowing 1 pound, but we're putting it with ounces. So that's 16 ounces that we're borrowing, really. Borrowing a pound, we're borrowing 16 ounces. So it's 1 ounce plus 16 more gives me 17 ounces. Okay, the 1 pound is 16 ounces. That's why it's 1 plus 16. Now I'm ready to subtract. 17 minus 4 will give me 13 ounces, and then 17 pounds minus 16 pounds gives me 1 pound. Okay, just double check, 13 ounces is not enough to cash in. I gotta have 16 ounces, so I cannot regroup this. This is my final answer right here. 1 pound, 13 ounces. That is how much weight the baby has gained since last time. Remember that if you want to double check that, you can add, take your 16 pounds, 4 ounces, add on the extra weight the baby gained, add the 1 pound and 13 ounces, and when you do that and you regroup, you should wind up with 18 pounds, 1 ounce. You're gonna have to do some regrouping when you get this, but that's what you should come up with, and that lets you know you're doing it correctly. Alright, the last word problem on the review here, number 22, says Kevin has a total of 7 hours 20 minutes to meet with students. How many 5-minute sessions can he schedule? Now, in my opinion, this is probably one of the toughest problems on the review. You might be able to figure out that it's a straight up just division problem, and that's right. You can do 7 hours 20 minutes divided by 5, but you don't want to do it, like if you're looking at this going, okay, let's do 5 into 7 hours 20 minutes, that's not going to work. The reason it's not going to work is because you'd get a number here, but it would be that many hours, and you'd get a number here and it'd be that many minutes. But the question is, how many sessions? Our answer needs to be sessions. So if we're looking here, doing hours and minutes as an answer, that doesn't tell us how many sessions. So it's not simply how many times will 5 go into 7 hours 20 minutes. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this as a rate. 5-minute sessions, we're saying that it's 1 session is 5 minutes. Every single session is 5 minutes, which means this is a rate. I'm comparing. Wow, that was a really ugly R. Let's try that again. This is a rate. A little bit better. This is a rate comparing the number of sessions to the number of minutes. So I could take this as 7 hours 20 minutes times the rate. It's going to be 1 session on the top, and it's going to be time on the bottom, because I want to match time that I started with here. Okay. And again, this is where it's going to lead us to division by 5. But here's the trick. Here's why I think this one is difficult, is because I don't want to do hours and minutes divided just by minutes. I want to change this whole thing into minutes only. So that's actually where I'm really going to start my work, is I'm going to change 7 hours 20 minutes just to minutes. 7 hours 20 minutes. I'm going to say I just want minutes there. I don't want hours and minutes, I just want minutes. So if you remember different ways to do this, but I'm just going to look at the 7 hours. I know that it's let's see here, 1 hour is 60 minutes. So that means that 7 hours would equal this many minutes. Cross multiply and divide, it'd be 60 times 7 divided by 1, which is going to give me 420. Okay, so this part right here, just the 7 hours, that's 420 minutes. Just the 7 hours is 420 minutes. But besides those 7 hours, we have an additional 20 minutes. So these are going to get added. 420 plus 20 puts me up to 440 minutes. Okay, so now I can go back here and I can go, okay, that's not really 7 hours 20 minutes, that's really a total of 440 minutes. And there's my minutes, and then minutes on the bottom. So this over here now, I can take, and it's going to be 440 times 1 divided by 5. And I can simply reach for the calculator on that one, but I'm pretty sure we're going to come up with 85. Let's just double check. And that's why we double check, because it's not 85, it is 88. But the calculator can help me out on that. And again, the question is how many sessions? 88 sessions. So again, on that one, just be careful. You're not dividing by 5, you're dividing by 5 minutes. And that's why here we go, ooh, let's change 7 hours, 20 minutes just to minutes, 440 minutes.